I'm Christine Frizzau in Washington. Most agree the ability or inability of a sitting president to do his job is a significant story. But when questions were raised about President Biden's cognitive decline, those asking them were often shunned.
In terms of taxes that they refused to, for example.
In retrospect, many in Washington now admit there were signs of cognitive decline by President Joe Biden.
The Democrats should just be straight up that he should not have run.
But one of the biggest questions to emerge ahead of a new book detailing that decline and those who covered it up is, why wasn't this story more widely covered at the time?
I think what there was not was enough very clear, vigilant, and tough questioning and coverage about what everybody could see.
In June 2024, this Wall Street Journal article reported, behind closed doors, Biden shows signs of slipping. It was dismissed for a lack of named sources, despite speaking to more than 45 people over the course of several months.
I am sort of actually embarrassed for the Wall Street Journal.
When this company, Sinclair, dug into the story, it was labeled as a conservative media conglomerate amplifying misleading attacks of Biden's fitness.
This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever.
Following Biden's only presidential debate with Donald Trump, deemed disastrous even by some of Biden's biggest supporters, questions did emerge. The president soon after dropping out of the race.
Let's be really clear about this. The president's health, both physical and mental, is a story. The capacity of the person in the Oval Office to think clearly and quickly on these immense decisions and issues that come before him is a critical matter and is, frankly, a lead story.
Those just released audio recordings of then President Biden speaking with special counsel Robert Hur, along with that new book, Original Sin, have already evoked many more questions. And now the House Oversight Committee says it plans to investigate what Republicans call a cover-up of Biden's mental decline. I'm Christine Frizzau reporting.
I'm national correspondent Kayla Gaskins in Washington. Former President Joe Biden's recent cancer announcement raising more questions from both sides.
Former President Joe Biden battling a very aggressive form of prostate cancer. The news baffling many medical experts who are questioning how this advanced cancer went undiagnosed. Dr. Ezekiel Emanuel, an oncologist appointed by Biden to the COVID-19 advisory board and previously worked under President Obama, had this to say Monday morning.
He did not develop it in the last 100, 200 days. He had it while he was president. He probably had it at the start of his presidency.
As president, Joe Biden received regular physicals. In the reports, his doctor mentions treating the former commander-in-chief for seasonal allergies and sleep apnea, monitoring him for skin cancer, as well as neurology and orthopedic consultations. While prostate cancer can sometimes be difficult to detect, there's no mention of screening or treatment, which surprised Emanuel.
President Obama had this test. President Bush had this test. It is a little surprising that the doctor didn't take it.
In his 2024 physical, Joe Biden's doctor concluded he was a healthy, active, robust 81-year-old male who remains fit to successfully execute the duties of the presidency. Some are suspicious of the timing of Biden's cancer announcement.
Biden learned of the diagnosis on Friday. Well, what was the biggest Biden story on Friday? It was the release of those audio excerpts from his conversations with Robert Hur back in 2023, showing memory lapses.
The cancer news also coincides with the release of books chronicling the alleged cover-up of Biden's declining health while in office.
They are wrong. There's nothing to sustain that. Number one.
The people who wrote those books were not in the White House with us.
Though some accuse Biden's team of using the cancer revelation as a distraction, a growing number of Democrats and Republicans say the news actually raises more questions on whether or not Biden was transparent on if he was fit to serve another term. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
In a statement, former President Biden's office said his aggressive prostate cancer diagnosis appears to be hormone sensitive, which allows for effective management. But this morning, as condolences are coming in from both sides of the aisle, many doctors are questioning how Biden's cancer had already spread to his bones without being detected during his presidency, or perhaps just not reported to the American public. Joining us now to discuss is Washington insider Armstrong Williams. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Was this just another secret, do you think, the White House was keeping from the American public?
You know, whether it's true or not, and it probably was a secret, the fact is that the former president, has an aggressive cancer, and politics can be vicious and nasty, but we should never forget about our own morality and compassion and empathy for those that suffer, because we never know what the future holds for us. And what we should focus on now is praying for the ease of the pain and the aggression of this cancer, and just wish him well, because he did serve this country for over 50 years.
Yeah, and certainly our prayers are with him and his family. Like you said, this is certainly a question that many reporters even are having right now, because we know CNN's Jake Tapper has a book coming out with Axios reporter Alex Thompson called Original Sin. That's the title of it. President Biden's decline, its cover-up, and his disastrous choice to run again. Tapper said during his book tour that it wasn't the media's fault for not covering Biden's cognitive decline, but said the press were victims of a lying White House. What's your thoughts on this?
Oh, I actually believe that they were deceived and they bought into it. They did not know the extent, especially when you think about Biden's poll numbers. Everybody talked about how wonderful they were. He was leading, and those poll numbers never exist. They were all lies. They were created, just like everything else about his cognitive health. And now we're learning about his aggressive prostate cancer. They hated Trump so much, they would take El Cid, which is what Biden became, and put him on a horse, dead, to run him out in battle to give people hope that they could still win. That's where they were, Jan. But they lost.
Well, before I let you go, Armstrong, I understand you were in Auschwitz, Poland this past weekend. I think we even have some pictures of your trip there. Tell me about your trip, and why were you there?
Strictly to see the concentration camps in Dachau and Auschwitz. I mean, Jan, it was just, when you look at those crematories where they were burned to a crisp and others hang looking at the crematories as they drew their last breath, the cruelty and the depravity of human beings is just so profound. It was just, it's just incomprehensible what humankind is capable of.
Tell us some things that only you could experience that we can't see through pictures or videos.
You know, there are these trees that you walk through and the wind always blows. They're so tall, and you could smell death. You could smell the pain. You could sense the agony, the destruction. And the thing that you realize there, and I want everybody to remember, is that monsters exist, but they are too few in number to be truly dangerous. More dangerous, Jan, are the common men and women, the functionaries ready to believe and to act without asking questions. Because the question is not why it happened, how did it happen? And we said nothing, did nothing, and it will continue to happen. It's just as relevant today if we don't stomp it out before it raises its ugly head and people die for absolutely no reason at all.
Yeah, amen to that. All right, Washington insider Armstrong Williams, always great to see you, sir. Thanks for sharing those pictures with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Jan.
I'm Matt Gelka in Washington, where an upcoming book about the Joe Biden presidency has bombshell details about a mental and physical decline that was far worse than the American public knew about. Had former President Joe Biden continued on with his campaign and pulled off a re-election win, his aides were reportedly discussing him using a wheelchair. It's one of the stories coming out in the upcoming book, Original Sin, President Biden's Decline, Its Cover-Up, and His Disastrous Choice to Run Again, written by Axios reporter Alex Thompson and CNN anchor Jake Tapper. Falls like this one from 2023 reportedly caused aides to scramble to ensure more mishaps didn't happen, and his deteriorating condition was apparent in the way he walked, according to the book. A wheelchair couldn't be an option until after the election. Then, his disastrous debate performance happened.
We have to do with, look, if
The White House repeatedly said at the time the former president was sharp.
He is as sharp as ever, as I have known him to be in my engagement and my experience with him.
Biden himself gave his first American post-presidential interview to The View, defending his time in office and addressing the upcoming book bombshells.
Are these sources wrong?
They are wrong. There's nothing to sustain that. The only reason I got out of the race was because I didn't want to have a divided Democratic Party.
Questions about Biden's abilities eventually spooked donors and supporters, leading to his dropping out of the race, endorsement of then Vice President Kamala Harris, and ultimately a Donald Trump victory. Some Democrats who supported Biden at the time are now being questioned about what they saw compared to what they said.
I said what I believe to be true.
And you think he was as sharp as you?
I said I had not seen decline.
The upcoming book contains stories from 200 sources, and some members of the media are now admitting that the decline was missed and underreported in real time. Reporting in Washington, I'm Matt Gelka.